Epic fail. Nature has grown over our shutters and I didn't see that, opened them and broke the front shutter of the building. Silly error. It's not my day, is it? It's not my day. My name is Oliver Farrell and I am the environment artist at White Paper Games. It's kind of an all-encompassing role with our studio. I work on the environments, mixed in with a little bit of level design. I handle a lot of the lighting and work alongside James to come up with the overall art direction of our projects. It's nice to be in the space again. I just wish we could all be here and work together. This is my desk. This is the main frame, but yeah, it's quite strange. This is the first time I've been back for this amount of time, and it just feels a bit sad that no one's here. I'm usually quite funny and jokey and a lot of camaraderie when we're making our games, but we've had to do that through a computer screen for the past 6 months, so.
Talk us through your desk space. What's the...
What, the empty space?
Yeah, what do you call it?
The mainframe, the Mind Palace. Joking. No, but yeah, it just helps. I used to be sat in the corner and I'd get a bad neck because I'm always getting asked to look around or look at something, so it helps. Yeah, I miss the setup. Today I want to speak to you about the art style of our new project and kind of how we got to this point and what we wanted to create. Going off our previous titles, Ether 1 and The Occupation, there's a kind of transition in our style. It's got a very hand-painted base to it, but with Ether 1 it was very stylized with line work. The game had a dreamlike quality to it, so the colours were very vibrant. And then with The Occupation it was a more grounded kind of dark story. So we muted the tones in that game and tried to create more realism with the world, so it was a lot more relatable to the player. Moving on to the new project, the art style is kind of an amalgamation of the two, with some outside inspirations. We wanted to have the charm and stylized quality that Ether 1 had, but kind of rely on the grounded realism we had in The Occupation. Heavily inspired by Alfred Hitchcock film Rear Window in terms of the tone and the drama of those type of films. And also a film called The Illusionist by Sylvain Chomet, a really beautiful 2D animation with watercolours and line work, which I love, and it really captures this style of art that I find quite natural when I paint and when I work. I admired the way he depicts a world with line work and colour, the way he can really sell a sense of place. This has inspired me for a long time and it's something I always wanted to bring into a project. I feel now I'm at the capability where I can probably get that across a lot better. So when we were floating around the idea of a new project, I wanted to bring that back into the mix and see if I could weave it into a visual style for our game. I basically grabbed a still from the movie, which was a lovely apartment scene, and I just tried to recreate it in 3D. This is a picture of the test scene I created to show the art style. So it was kind of a scene from The Illusionist, and I wanted to just replicate it. So you've got that nice warm light coming behind the character. You've got to the left of the screen something interesting through the doorway, so there's a lot of storytelling elements going on. This isn't even in the new game at all, but it was just a mood setter almost, so for like finding a good colour palette that might work with a moody section of the game, and also a good way that we could maybe set up a scene and tell a story. So it just helped give us a starting point to jump off from when creating the art style for the game.
That's why she locks it at the start, and it's just like a door that just wants to be shut. And so then you do your quick time event, you may succeed or you fail. Either way, you roll away and you're talking to them, and then they come in, and it might be just a brief pause in the dialogue where you just hear the door just bang against the back of the wall or something, and it's just swung open, and it's like, and then they kind of make it even a subtle nod, and then keep going. But then she's then going checking the rest of the apartment because she's thinking like, what's up?
Obviously, with the advent of the COVID crisis, a lot more people have been working from home. One of the interesting impacts it's had is that it's kind of formalized our process a lot. When you're in a studio and there's just 9 of you, especially when it's such a small team, it can be very, very social, which is a fantastic thing, but it means that quite often it can be a bit too relaxed in some ways. Luckily with our studio, a lot of everything we do is digital really. Everything is stored online or on our computers. So we're an industry that's very familiar with the idea of remote working or certainly communicating through the internet. Luckily, that means we're positioned in a place where we could just all go home and we haven't skipped a beat.
Hi, my name is Marcus Isaquias. My role at White Paper Games is primarily around art right now. I also do facial animations and build management. I mean, joining this team whilst there's already an existing art pipeline, to be honest, it's much less scary than what you'd imagine it could be like. I think purely because I have such like a familiarity with Oliver's style. Obviously going back to Ether 1, it's cool to have Ether 1 there as the backdrop, and then I've seen his work on The Occupation as well, and now there's this, so I get to see like the growth, and that's definitely made things nice and easy as far as just sort of hitting the ground running. As far as the actual art itself, it's it's slightly less painterly, much more complex models, many more things going on the screen. There's characters, there's AI. The direction, I mean, God, there's so many. We joked previously about me coming in at this time now where it's starting to become a video game, right? It's no longer just work, it's becoming a game, and to be honest, week in, week out when we do catch-ups, you see how everything is just moving along at such a nice pace. Like, it feels like almost every week there's something new, whether it's art, whether it's code, whether it's new dialogue. OJ's worked late and finished a scene. Seeing that every week is fantastic. I feel like we're heading towards this goal at a really good pace.
So I'm just going to have a chat with Marcus because he's been working on some of the facial animation implementation, and really this is stuff that I've handed over to him, and I just want to make sure that he's getting on all right with it. And I mean, by all accounts, it seems like it's great. So I just want to check in. Like, is there anything that gave you any issues? Like any particular?
Well, actually, it's funny you say that. Yesterday I had one issue. Now Rob's already fixed it, obviously, but obviously Rob he redid a bunch of his animations for yesterday. So once he did that, what was happening to several of the face effects files was the tongue was clipping through the lips. So I had to quickly scan through. But yeah, it was, we played with the curve settings and we tried to change it as best we could. Like Rob showed me how to like locate where the tongue was. I think it was like the T roof, and we moved it down a bit. We tried to fix it that way, but it was still clipping. So he had to go back and go back into Maya and fix it. But really, there's not I think the one issue that I had originally, it was only slight, but it was almost like his mouth was maybe popping a little bit toward the end of each sentence, but that was what Rob had fixed yesterday. So once he did that, it's everything's running smoothly.
And in terms of like the length of some of the audio files and everything, that caused you any issue? Like, because I know NJ's, like some of them are like a good 30-second long, and I was a little bit afraid that might cause us issues, but did that all go okay?
Yeah, I mean, I would say initially, because you warned me about this, and NJ warned me about this as well, with like the long, not just the long sentences, but when people they talk like that with the pauses, that I've been warned about. Thankfully, Lady Doha, the way she talks is so direct. She doesn't really pause, and so she was okay start to finish really. For the face effects files, there were some instances, and because there's quite a few, it's hard for me to remember, to locate which one, but it was where he would have maybe half a second worth of time where he wasn't saying anything, but his mouth was moving, and the actual audio file was playing from the beginning anyway. So the mouth was moving whilst nothing was actually coming out. So I actually managed to, well, I went into the curves and I just sort of moved everything to the beginning, so everything lined up. And because obviously Rob told me that, you know, ideally curves, changing the curve, all the curves of a file is the last resort. If you can fix things through the notepad and just the phonetics of the words, then that's your first port of call. That fixed most things, to be honest. It's actually quite a cool thing, like going into Google and like looking at like phonetic dictionary type things, and I think it's been great that I've picked up the face effects stuff so quick. And like we joke like how over the top I am with writing lists and things to figure things out. So I've got like a dictionary's worth of words, so anything, literally I can't think of a question that's not been answered there, so that's what I go to.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I mean, that's it. Like, I don't really have anything else to catch up with you, but we will have a conversation with, well, you, me, OJ, and Nicola again, just properly setting out our OKRs for next cycle, probably tomorrow. Me and OJ will probably start today and then see where it goes. Good shit, dude. It's really cool.
Hi, my name's Nicola. I joined White Paper in around September of 2020. Started off as like an internship, and things kind of just like developed, and I ended up actually just getting a job here, which is pretty good. Been working closely with OJ and James on that art team, doing 3D modelling. I've been doing prop art mostly. After actually starting the internship and like talking to the guys a little bit more and like kind of showing my interest that I did want to do, you know, 3D stuff and more arty kind of things, they gave me that opportunity, and I did a prop test of a telephone, and you know, OJ and James seemed like really impressed with it, and they kind of got back to me and was like, would you like to actually work for us, you know, actually be an artist for us, trying to get on board with their already existing like art pipeline. It's been good. OJ and James were clear with, you know, how they kind of work with things, and it's a really, really nice style because it kind of it reflects the previous games that White Paper has done, like Ether One and The Occupation. It's not quite fully stylized, but it's also not quite as realistic as The Occupation was. It's working really well, and it's actually really fun. Joining and being in a real studio and like actually making a real game is so amazing. Like with university, obviously we get the chance to make game jams and stuff like that and work on projects with other people, but like it's not the same as actually being in a studio. I say it's COVID, it's all online, but yeah, actually being able to contribute to a real game that's got a real deadline that's going to be released for real, that's it. When I actually sit down and think about it, I get so giddy and like I can't stop smiling for about 2 hours. Like it's pretty amazing. It's great.
It's interesting plotting a trajectory from where we came from in terms of that initial exploration, games very much inspired by things like Myst, and kind of plotting that internally and saying, okay, so this is what we did with our last experience, these are things we liked about that, these are things that we thought we could have done better, and kind of applying that forwards into a way that, you know, what are the elements that we really liked, and we not just that we can repeat, but that we can kind of hone. Elements like interaction, really that cinematic vibe. There are a handful of things from The Occupation that I know I was really happy with, and what I came away with was not, oh, we could have done that better, but more a kind of an excitement to say, really, we can push this further, and that was really cool what we did, but we can take this a step further, and what if we did this with that? I've been the only programmer for some time, but obviously that does mean that you're essentially a bottleneck for the development of just various mechanics or ideas that the team might have. And we've got a really talented art team and really thorough design team. Everyone on the team has lots of opinions about the way things should work or what we can do narratively or mechanically with certain areas. But you'll often find that one of the things that it comes back to is do we have the manpower to create this? One of the things I find very fascinating is that quite often as a programmer, you're not worried about what you can do, but how you can enable other people to do their jobs as well as possible, which again, for someone who's interested in efficiency, that's like the best thing, because you can do something well yourself, but if you can make other people do their jobs better, that's going to pay dividends on a much higher rate. If you can make 3 people be able to work faster, that's way better than you being able to work faster on your own. So one of the important elements is really thinking about tools and like how people might not just interact with your game, but on a more kind of meta abstract level, how the designers are going to interact with the tools you're using to make that experience.
We have a very connected way in which art and design work together to build our game worlds. There's a lot of overlap and we feed into each other a lot to make sure that it functions well for design, but it also has a really nice cinematic quality to the world we create.
They can just come to it and say, oh, I just want this spawn point to appear over here, or I just want these cameras to be here and I want them focused on this thing, and what can I do to speed that up? And that's actually something I find really interesting, and I think is one of those things that allows you to bring in a level of real authorship and real kind of personal perspective about, it's no longer about does this do the thing it needs to do, but is it interesting and fun to use, and can you understand it? And I think there's a lot of just very interesting potential developing that kind of thing for a small team.
The progress of the game's going really well at the moment, and in the coming months we get to hopefully share some footage with you guys. We're really proud of kind of the quality and the cinematic approach we've got with this game, and I hope you all enjoy it.